As vice president, Kamala Harris was given 2 jobs.
Like the job she did for Willie Brown?
Important jobs, actually. First, she was put in charge of the U.S. border security and the border, and she never showed up. She's never gone. And then she was sent to Europe to deter Russia from attacking.
She sucks. She freaking sucks.
But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. From the moment we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. So if you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know. And we are going to tell crooked Joe Biden, Joe, you've done a horrible job. You're fired. Make America great again.
I don't think you can say it better than that, John. How about you? You see that one the whole time?
That's a pretty good campaign. That's pretty good campaign ad there.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a parody. It's 6 days old. It's from Bella Winters. Gotta give credit where credit is due. That is a great video. So, of course, we have the news that we have Biden no longer running. That's the breaking news that we have, right? And then,
allegedly, that's alleged that he's not running because.
I really want to know what he's going to say when he wakes up tomorrow morning and he finds out that it was released. I really want to know that
because all we have is a letter on X, with a suspicious signature. And we might have a hostage situation for all we know at 600 because he didn't come out. That's pretty big news. That's pretty big news.
Well,
you think you'd want to say
he's
that
in Rehoboth
to people.
Beach with his COVID. We don't even know if this was a COVID move. He could claim COVID flu when he wakes up from this. But John, let's make sure we got something clear here. I have found 2 of one of your favorite shows. I know, and an example of why Joe must go. An even better video.
Thank you. There you go.
Ah! Whoa! Is that piss? Oh! That's not supposed to be the piss one.
Why do you have a piss one?
Oh, here.
Why is there always a piss one?
Give me that. Wash it out with Gabe.
God damn it, Frank! Piss too!
Oh, no.
What the fuck?
Oh, I must have got confused and pissed them both. Wait.
I knew you would appreciate that, brother. I figured you'd appreciate that.
For all we know, he's got COVID, is nearly deathly sick, is in Delaware, and some of the kids, maybe Kamala or somebody else is at the the Resolute desk, penning these statements because we don't know he's not been in charge for the last 5 years at all. Maybe it was Obama. Maybe Obama wrote it and signed it, right? And sent it in, right?
Maybe.
We have no proof that our president, go Brandon, has stepped down. I'm not accepting it. I'm saying my prayers tonight.
John, are you being a denier here? Are you being a denier?
I am a Brandon, stepping down denier until I hear him say it. On the for all I know, it's a hostage situation. That's all I know. Because he hasn't come out and said it. So it's a really weird way to step down from a presidential election. Let me tell you, especially this late in the game.
Well, it's interesting because immediately Joe Biden threw his support behind her, Kamala. So I thought we should entertain some of Kamala's finest moments, John.
Oh my God.
Hope is that Joe Biden will not be president forever, right? He's old. The ideas aren't great. Things are cyclical. Good guys come around and win over time. And there's a great woman behind him. Her name's Kamala Harris. See what I did there? Sorry about that. This is a poor ending. Kamala, 2 days ago, right before the State of the Union, Here's her on a radio show trying to explain to the masses what's happening in Russia. And tell me, is this the woman who you want one heartbeat away from the presidency, or someone who maybe should be teaching kindergartners, but probably not really?
If you're watching any level of news, even social media, you're seeing everything that's going on right now in the Ukraine. Break it down in layman's terms for people who don't understand what's going on and how can this directly affect the people of the United States.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
There you have it, John. I don't think we need Dave Rubin's commentary on
it. She completely explained it. I don't know what the complaint is, but I just want to say what can be. Look, notice the Markle, the Meghan Markle.
Go on.
Points. What can be without being unburdened by what's been yesterday or after. What can be unburdened. It's unbelievable. It's about
progress is to have the ability to have a vision and a belief and some faith in what can be, unburdened by what has been.
Unburdened by what has been. Hey, feels, I don't know, like I've heard that before.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what
James,
has been.
There's like a 20 minutes of this. There's like 20 minutes of this.
This is only another few seconds.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
All right, enough. I've got 5 more minutes of that stuff, but we don't.
All right. So,
there's like 20 minutes of it, James. I think he shorted it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he did. I figured we don't want to bore our audience, John. So, I mean,
what can be though, James? Unburdened by what's been. What has been?
It's yeah. Well, it's also. It's not even the worst, John. It's not even the worst. Here you go, brother.
That's the laugh. You're not going to hit me with the laugh, are you? It's too late. Oh, my God.
Today, he said, when will politicians, or at least the intern who runs their account, which in most cases is probably true, if you check Joe Biden's Twitter account, my God, some of the stuff that's posted on there is just inane. And when will they learn that lying on this...
I've lost it somehow.
I mean, it's just a bald-faced lie. On what basis would she try to...
Once again, trying to appeal to women on the basis of we're protecting your reproduction rights.
Can you hear it?
Take them away.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
John, I just want to point out there's a reason why this is on Comedy Central.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
They not.
There's a full-on attack on our fundamental freedoms.
Oh, a full-on attack on our fundamental freedoms. Don't you just love it? The more they refer to anyone who believes differently to them as extremists.
Kamala Harris's lack of intellect is often the butt of jokes, hilariously exposed by Sky News All-Star Rita Panahi.
Now, another profound bit of communication from the Veep. Here, Kamala Harris explains community banks.
So the importance of community banks is they are, as they are called, they're in the community, led by members of the community. They are people who understand the capacity of the community, the needs of the community, the culture of the community.
Did you get that? Community banks are banks, and they're also in the community. Quite profound there. Let's have some advice from the woman one geriatric heartbeat away.
She was again mocked when she tried to explain presidential elections.
Time to check in with the most powerful woman in the world. Here, Kamala Harris explains presidential elections after she's asked, why is the race so close?
Why is the race so close? These races are always close. It's the election of the President of the United States. And everyone in an election for President of the United States will critically examine all of the issues and make a decision.
Profound. I think I might just listen to that again because...
So, I mean, we could go on and on, John. Let's be honest.
James, this is wrong. We can't be for this. We were first for go Brandon. We need Kamala to be the nominee. Okay, what you're doing is wrong.
You make a great point. I fully endorse what you're saying for every single reason we just showed.
we fully endorse Kamala Harris because there's a big issue now whether that's going to actually happen. We should talk about it because there's no guarantee that's going to happen.
Let's break that down. Let's break that down, John. So let's talk about will Kamala actually get the nomination? Because now she's going into the convention with Joe Biden's endorsement, but not Barack Obama. As of right now, not Barack Obama's endorsement, nor Big Mike's endorsement, nor any of the a lot of leaders, but not all the leaders. It's almost like many are reserving their judgment on whether they're going to endorse her or not. So what could happen? And it's interesting, John, because one of the things she's going to try to do probably before then is announce who she's going to have running with her as a VP, right? Because a VP spot is going to help sway the nominations and also may take a player off the board if she can, right? Oh, by the way, we do know who did endorse her weekly. Very weak endorsement, but still an endorsement. The Clintons, Hillary and Bill, have endorsed.
And so what does that tell you?
Well, okay, let's talk about that. What's the first person you put down as a nominee, John, for a VP? Who's the first one?
Why are we talking about are we talking about Bill and Hillary and they're them coming out and nominating, or are we going into the VP?
Well, I mean, why would they? Well, isn't this one and the same?
Well, the only reason why the Hillary is going to do that is so that when it comes time that somebody kills Kamala, they can't immediately put her, because as we all know, that once Trump got down from the stage, the first thing he said was, "Where was Hillary?" Where was Hillary? Right? So this is literally like the Godfather, shaking your hand, going, "This is my guy," and then the next thing you know, that guy disappears. Right? I mean, right. So we can guarantee you that for a fact that Hillary is not really endorsing Kamala. She just wants to make it look like she is, so that when whatever happens to Kamala in the next few weeks, she can say, "Well, I did my job. I was supporting Kamala, and then this horrible stuff came out about Kamala, and she had to step down, and so now it's my turn." Right? That's the only. I mean, she's the number one. That's the number one play that I fear and worried is going to happen. But there's a number of people that I have for potential what's going to happen. So either one or two things is going to happen at this convention over the next few weeks to the convention. Everybody has to get lock, stop behind Kamala because there's so many challenges to doing it. Or it could be a free for all. And then we have different categories. We got the governors, we got the senators, and we have the special. Okay, all of them are going to lose, and it never made sense. So we have the outside, the long horses, the game changers, right? Like The Rock, right? Matthew McConaughey, Oprah, right? Even Big
stars.
Mike herself.
Yeah.
The stars, right?
The stars.
George Clueless, right? Matt Damon, right? And Ben Affleck, right? That might have to be they might actually be you, because what we know is from the polling and I'll like there's a couple things about VP and how did we get here? How did we get actually here? Well, we talked on we talked on it on a number of times. The vice presidency position has devolved from JFK assassination to today. It used to be that you put your second best person in there, or somebody could step in and take over. God forbid anything happened to the president, right? That's not the case anymore. In fact, the presidents who haven't figured that out, for example, Donald Trump, have not figured it out to their detriment. If the deep state thinks they're going to kill you, get you out of the way, they will get you out of the way. That's what happened to Nixon, right? When he put in Ford. When Nixon had Spiro Agnew, and Spiro Agnew was worse than Nixon, so Nixon was safe. Once he put in Ford, the deep state, no, boom, Nixon is gone, right? So it's called like the Nixon effect, the Ford effect. So if you put in a milk wash that the deep state can trust, you're done. What happened to Trump? He put in Pence, the deep state knew, milk wash, and we have not one but two impeachments, right? And so now the Obama's smart. So I mean, he's cunning. So what does he do? He looks around and says, "Well, they're going to impeach me for what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the dumbest guy in the Senate to put in charge, right?" So he puts him in charge. And so what does Biden do when it comes his time? He looks around and goes, "Well, I'm going to find the dumbest female I can put in charge from the Senate, Kamala," right? So we have a devolution of American politics, whereas the dumbest evolves down to the position. So we could look at it as, well, what's Kamala going to do? She's got to find for her VP pick. She's got to find somebody dumber. But listen, there's a baseline stupidity that you cannot get below. And
I don't know, John.
Kamala has reached that point, right?
Might be.
But look on it in the other way too. This is a big mistake for the Democratic Party. They sell old Joe. They sell old Joe for not being an actual candidate. They undersell him because he really is the best the Democratic Party can put forward. Why? Well, because the Democratic Party isn't a party. It is a collection of malcontents and self-centered, narcissistic, evil people, right? Who are just in it for themselves. It's counter at this point. It is completely anathema to America. It's anathema to the American ideals of God, of patriotism, of country over party, of self-centeredness.
That's nothing really new.
Self-centeredness.
Is that something new, though? You don't think that's new? That's something that's been part of the Democratic Party for a long time.
The last 60 years. So what is the Democratic Party? The Democratic Party isn't a party. It's a collection of people with grievances, right? And it's all about me, and narcissism. So how did Joe get to where he is? Well, back in 2016, right, when it was his turn, Obama, because the Clintons came to him and must have some kind of dirt on him, told Joe to step down. Right. And so he did. And then, Hillary Clinton, surprise, takes over the mantle. Right. And it should have been Joe then. But she's actually from the same part of the wing as Joe. So when it came time for 2020, they're looking at this diverse DEI hiring but no one of them could actually get together an actual party. Only Joe. Why? Well, because look at the parts of the Democratic Party. You got the gay part, right? Butt guy, right? You got the female part, right? The commie mommies, right? You got the black vote, right? You got the Hispanic vote, right? You got the old white middle class vote. Now these people are the baby boomers, 60 and on up. And that's actually Joe's consistency. So even though he's going to lose to Trump because Trump has taken a lot of that away, who else in the Democratic Party could ever come up with that? Even of all the people that we could talk about, like who might be her VP, who has got that Joe mojo that Joe has, that old Joe's got? And I
John,
don't think they do.
Well, isn't it also true? The VP spot. I mean, historically, the VP spot before all the stuff that you're talking about has always been like a nothing spot. They're trying to make it today as if it's a nothing spot. They're trying to say that Vance doesn't bring anything to the party, except for when Joe ran, they said Kamala brings a whole bunch to the campaign. Remember back in 2020, because she was the first black woman and identity.
Well, she checks off. She checks off a lot of the boxes,
those things, right?
Female,
So the
black, half Asian. But with each one of them comes a big asterisk, which is overwhelming her. Yeah, she's a female, but she's the most unappealable female that you can imagine. She's unappealable to men because she's lost her hotness of when she was young.
John, I think that there's worse women out there.
And well, wait a minute though. There's a picture when she was all dressed up with
Montel Williams.
Right? She's looking
I'll
pretty
get
hot.
that picture for you.
Right. She's looking pretty hot then, right? But she's the other woman for all the commie mommies out there. She's the anthem to that because she's the one that's stealing the husband, right? Which is exactly what she did. She went to Willie Brown's inauguration. The Willie Brown's wife was there. Wait till this comes out, right? She is so classless. Here she is hanging off Willie Brown, the mayor of Los Angeles, while the wife is there. That's the kind of thing. So again, she might check off the box as being female, but wait. Once females see that, they're going, right. As for being black, is she really black? She's not black. She's Jamaican. So even though she might seem to take off check the black box, and again, at this point, black men are tired about being lectured to by black women. So if you're going to take that, you might get the black women, but you're going to lose a lot of the black men. And so for Asian,
but
John, Asian.
If she doesn't get the nomination, I have heard prominent members of people like Van Jones, right?
Well, I'm not done yet. Well, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. Not only is she that. So she was a prosecutor. This is the age of BLM. Yeah, she came out and she was all supporting BLM and stuff. But Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her and ended her career simply by pointing out the fact that she's the worst kind of prosecutor there is. She's the hypocrite. She locked up people and stole their lives from them. Black men, a lot of them, as a prosecutor, because they were taking marijuana, and then she laughs about smoking up all herself. She's the worst type of hypocrite, worst type of lawyer, the worst type of prosecutor, and she's still a prosecutor. So that's not going to be lost on the AOC Bernie Sanders, progressive wing of the body of the party. So yeah, she checks off a lot of boxes, but again, the reason why she died as a candidate was because for each one of those so-called boxes she checked off, there was a bigger, gigantic asterisk that blasted her head, that showing you she was the exact opposite of what she was pretending to do, and that's why she was really done. That's actually not what happened in that election because of all those boxes. How she got in was this. There is a split. The black vote is dead and dying in America because of abortion, right? You used to have these big city politician machines that used to run the big cities. That's no longer the case. There used to be white ones. There used to be black ones. It's no longer the case. You have black ones because of abortion. You've aborted out black people. They are now no longer the largest minority. They are the second to the Hispanics, and they're really about half now. They are so aborted to death that they're about half. But of the old parties, California, she comes from California. There was the rich white super spoiled trust fund baby, never worked a day in her life, Nancy Pelosi wing of the party, right? The donors. And then there was the black power machine, right? Which is being replaced by the Hispanic one. Well, that's her power. That's her power because she, of course, slept famously with Willie Brown. And he was the last, boss hog of California and that machine out there. There's not a lot of those machines around, but that's where she came from. That's why it'll never be a Newsom who represents who's Nancy Pelosi's nephew and represents the rich donor class of California. There'll never be a combination of those two because they're separate power centers in California. But that power, when Clinton, when Biden was running, he had the rich whites in the northern, in the blue states, the really white Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin that maybe a Whitmer might appeal to, but he didn't have the black vote. Well, the deal was Claiborne down in South Carolina, which was the big one coming up, was another one of these boss hog, but the black version of it, a machine down in South Carolina that still exists. He said, okay, but you have to put Kamala in, and that's how Kamala got in. So she doesn't even really represent anything from the rest of the country, unless Claiborne says yes, right? And that's a dying part of it. And again, as much as you can say, okay, she's the black vote. Again, black men are tired of being lectured to by black women, and not only that, that's the prosecution problem. She's prosecuted so many black men that they're like, I don't know. So she cuts a lot against that grain of taking on that mantle. So it's a good question whether she's going to survive, because
but I think she will, because and then to your point also, Joe Trump is also now being prosecuted he's been wrongly prosecuted. So I think there's one of the reasons why so many black men are identifying with him is because so many black men have been run through the system, and by
they got
people
baby mamas. He's got baby mamas, right? They got criminal record.
Yeah,
he's got a criminal record.
He's got a mugshot. He's got a mugshot. Let's not forget the mugshot. He's got a pretty fine looking mugshot. Now they're all jealous of his mugshot, right?
He loves the gold, right? He loves the gold. He's into rap.
And to be honest, John,
he's been shot at now. He's got a bullet wound like they do.
All kidding aside, there was a time when many black men and many, new immigrants too to our country wanted to be Donald Trump because he was the American dream. They saw how he had done so much and made so much money, and he didn't hide about it. He went out there and told everyone and spoke very well and elegantly about his success, and to the point where Oprah had him on her show wanting him to run for president, like this silly, stupid stuff like that they don't even want you to know about, but it's the truth. It's the truth that Oprah was one of the biggest supporters of Donald Trump and running for office, wanted to run back in the 90s. And, Jesse Jackson, big supporter of
and
Donald
so
Trump.
Donald Trump should go after that.
He should be
right after them, like the Bronx.
He should show that clip from Oprah's show every rally, saying, "Look, they really do support me. Why did it change? Because I'm in the way of them going after you." That's how he should say. I'm in the way of them going after you.
Right. So they'll either have to all get behind Kamala now because she's so vulnerable. I'm telling you, she doesn't have her own consistency the way, like Butt Guy. Butt Guy's got his own consistency. It's not a big consistency, but it's the gays, right? So they have money. So he's got his own consistency that he can tap. It's not a big one, but you need that. He's got at least a consistency.
Right.
Elizabeth Warren and Bernie. There he goes, right? Butt Guy. There goes Butt Guy, right? So it's not going to be him, though, as vice president, because he just brings money. That's not enough to win. You need votes. You need the votes to win. To beat Trump, you're going to need votes. Oh, and they
how
said,
about this
we'll
guy,
rely
John?
on the...
How about Gavin?
Who is it? I can't see.
Gavin Newsom.
See, it can never be Gavin because, remember, there's a 12th Amendment that says you can't run from the same state, right? But more than that, so one of them has got to move. So the governor of California is going to move and leave, right? But more than that, again, they come
She could change
from
her
rival
residency
power centers.
She could change her residency to Virginia, though.
But they're two rival power centers, right? They don't there's no love lost between them because they're both competing. They've spent their lives competing against each other, and they're two rival centers, right? This is not going to happen. Although they would love to have that. They would love to have that because he's slick and he's a pathological liar. He's a psychopath of some nature because he just pathologically lies about stuff. But they would probably, but he's going to need, and California isn't in play. What's in play are the blue states. So, but Whitmer's already said no. So what I think you're going to happen is so the first vote is all, and there's all kinds of problems. There's all kinds of problems. There's I mean, this is not anything new in election law. In election law, it's always there's many states and many instances of somebody who looks like they're going to lose big time, where the party after the primary tries to swap them out with somebody they think is going to poll better or win. States have stopped that because it's unfair to all the primary voters who voted for the person to get in there. 14 million people voted for Joe Biden. So this is no easy lift to switch out a candidate this late in the game. It's never been done, and it's never been done successfully. So even saying Kamala is in charge is a problem, because all the money in this time is in Joe Biden's name, and there are state laws that say you can't do it, and you're not going to be able. I think Wisconsin and Nevada have it against, because to protect the actual voters, the primary voters, against this kind of nonsense. So what? Your candidate is polling low. You put him in. Too bad for you. You lose, right? And unless you die or you're incapacitated completely, which you're not saying has happened. Now we don't know. There's a hostage situation going on in the White House right now until we see Joe Biden alive, and we have somebody, and we have like Jill, and we don't have him blinking.
Proof of life.
Like, or tapping a SOS message out. Right. I don't believe he's dropped out yet, but unless they don't get behind her immediately, there's going to be big problems in trying to heavy lift this in some of these states. And she's got to pick. And Liz Whitmer has already said no. And look at it from her perspective. She goes, listen, suppose me and Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania get in there, right? Now it might be that she picks some kind of non-entity, like the Nepo baby from Kentucky, because he's 40 years old and he's pretty, right? And Bashar, right? But he's a freaking Nepo baby, right? But it might be she puts him, but so what? Kentucky's not in play, and you're still going to lose Kentucky. It might be that she goes to Roy Cooper down in North Carolina. This guy, now this would actually be a play against, for the white 60s plus vote, right? He's a slick liar. It's just like Biden, right? That'd be actually probably the best bet for him, because it might be that, okay, now I can take on the mantle of the rich white, of the old whites, the old white middle class of the blue wall that Biden appealed to, that allowed him to, have sway. Because really in 2020, he was the only one that could have gone forward. That because that at least hits at Trump's middle class and taking over the salt on the Democratic Party by usurping the middle class from him, the JFK voter, the middle class white working class voter. At least if they put this guy in there, he can make a credible play for it. But the thing is, he's old and he's 70, and is Kamala going to put him as second fiddle? Well, it's unlikely. So I don't know. It's at this point, it's going to be a brokered convention, because face it, she's stupid. And any kind of advice that we would give her, she's not going to listen to anyway.
You forgot a couple, John.
What? Who else?
Forgot
Who else
Elizabeth Warren. Warren.
That would be the progressive end. And so right now, AOC was just on there because the deal was, Biden cut a deal with the Obamaites, with the black vote, and Claiborne, by putting Hillary in there, Kamala in there, and by the Bernie Bros, right? By the Bernie Bros. That would be Elizabeth Warren and AOC. And AOC was just out there saying, being the staunchest defender of Biden. That's why, remember, these people are evil, self-centered narcissists dedicated to destroying America. And part of America is e pluribus unum, and from many one, right? These are not that. These people are just in it for themselves. What's in it for me? What's in it for my constituency, so I can pay them off? So the Green New Deal has to be accommodated for. And if she can't make all of these deals, in the next 2 days, in the next week, maybe 2 weeks, it's going to be a totally open convention. What's going to happen is there are 3,000 and some conventioners and a good 10% of the super delegates, which are the rich and the aristocrats, right, of the Democrat Party, and they all get to vote the first pass. That a lot of the people that are actually bound to voting in the second part, but there is a loophole. You have to vote your conscience, right, for the first pass, right. So it might be that if those backdoor deals have not been made, you're going to get a no holds barred open convention, and anything could happen. RFK could come in. The Rock could come in. But that somebody could put up Matthew McConaughey, another knucklehead, and these people that will do whatever. What?
John, you're missing the most obvious two choices. One, Nikki Haley could show up at the Democratic convention as a player. Come together. Let's all defeat Trump, since she was so hot to beat Trump the first time around. And she was bad.
Republican Hillary, get away from me. Republican Hillary, stay away.
And then there's the second one, brother, which is Hillary. You didn't mention Hillary. This is her last shot. And we all know it's not president, it's vice president. We all know, but we all know if Hillary becomes the VP, we know that there's going to be.
She's 77. I think she's 76. This will be her last shot.
This is her last shot. Yes.
Last shot. And who does she represent? She represents the women, the commie mommies, right? But also, that's that Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, old white, a middle class. Even though it's a fraudster, she does represent that. That's her.
She's such a criminal. She really is a genuine criminal.
But she would also. So right now, Obama has said, "Well, it'll be interesting per person that the convention is," because that's why they're thinking that there's somebody special that they have out on the wings. These people are cunning animals, but they're not smart. Okay, when you think.
But they are very loyal to each other, brother. They are very loyal to each other.
Are you kidding me? It's a coup. They just coup the sitting president.
No. You misunderstand what I mean by loyal. I don't mean loyal as in like, you are my brother, you are my sister, I'm going to defend you no matter what. I don't mean anything like that at all. What I mean is they're loyal to the only way they know to win is if they all get behind the one person and push. That's what they'll do. I see it all the time in local politics. Look, like right now, there's a lot of reasons why I know Democrats don't like Governor Murphy, for example. They think he's a complete tool. I mean, we just had a huge increase in our gas tax, and he's responsible for it. And yet, Democrats will still go out there. They'll still defend him. They'll still push his agenda. They're lining up in the assembly. They're lining up in the state senate. Why? Because that's what Democrats do. They're not loyal. Listen, just like Joe Biden, we saw it with the $1 billion a day industry of the media, right? The $1 billion media, 1/3 of it cuts off and says Joe's got to go. Joe's got to go. 1/3, $333 million worth every day. Joe's got to go. It expands out to 400, 500 million. They'll turn on him. They'll turn on him, right? Which is what they do. It's like the animals eat them. It's like they turn on the weak one and they gouge out the weak one and they kill the weak one, and then they spin around and they get right behind Commie. They get right behind Commie.
We'll see. Right now, though, she hasn't been endorsed. And so you need to put together your coalition now. And who's waiting in the wings? Somebody with the dirt on Obama to shut him up, like happened in 2016. Hillary, right? Somebody who's in the white middle class, which is Obama's. And here's the difference. You can see this divide in the Trump polling, right? You can see. So in Pennsylvania, before the assassination, which we should talk about, but before that, you would see Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Trump is even or maybe up 1 point. But down in South, so there's 6 or 7 swing states. So in the northern ones, he's up or even, right, by 1 point. In the southern ones, he's up by 6 or 7 points. In Georgia, North Carolina, New Mexico, Arizona, right? Why? Well, the difference is because, of course, those are Hispanic. And he's big up on the Hispanics because Hispanics want to come here. They want freedom and they want businesses, right? And so that's the 6 or 7% that he's up there. Why is it in the so-called blue wall, he's not up that high? Because it's all white. Pennsylvania is almost all white. Even with the blacks of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, it's still so white, right? Same thing with Michigan and Whitmer. But that's actually Biden's, appeal, because he can pretend to be Joe Scranton. Now, he hasn't worked a day in his life. He was a dirtbag lawyer from the very beginning. But he can tell these stories about lunch. I take the Amtrak train, right? And they tell these stories. Well, that's still the core of the Democrat Party. Hillary appeals to that and the women. It'll be the first female president again. So it's looking up. The more we talk about it, the more I'm convinced that after they're not going to consolidate behind there is going to Kamala. There's going to be a free for all, and we'll see if nobody gets it. Who is waiting in the wings, right? Waiting in the wings with her personal assassins.
Yes.
Ready to go out there and stick the knives in. Right? All you'll see.
Go ahead, finish.
Wait till you see the video of Kamala as a young girl dancing with Willie Brown, and his wife's looking on. Right? Yeah. You see something like that, that's Hillary and the knife going in, right? Wait till you see that. So I think it might be. She's our number one. She's the number one candidate, a lot likely to emerge from this.
So brother, we definitely some of the things I heard out there that people were talking about was that this was timed to take Trump off the news front page, and to put this and get him off the RNC off. They just had the convention last week, the assassination attempt on Saturday last week, a week ago, and this is all designed now to get that off the front page, because we all know that the media is in the tank for the Democrats. No matter who the Democrat nominee is going to be, that's who they're going to push. And having Trump on the front page with a successful nomination, and also being saved by God in the assassination attempt, despite the assassin's best attempts. I would say, brother, what we're looking at is this is let's just talk about the attempt. Right? Maybe we should talk about the attempt on on Trump's life, because that we all know he was saved by God. God miraculously saved him in that moment. So, do you mind if we switch gears on that?
No, sure. So we don't know. The bottom line is we doubt that it's going to be Kamala. We're praying every night on our knees.
She's an easy takedown. I mean, like you said, she's an easy takedown with everything. It's not, you mentioned Willie Brown, but I suggested that the Trump campaign get after she's nominated, get every single parent and family member of those people, those girls who were raped, and get them to talk about how the border czar allowed them over to come into America. She was the border czar. Target her with those campaign ads. Get those campaign ads out there and say, this is what you were doing. You were doing nothing, and you allowed all these people to come in here and rape. I mean, Trump's got the line from the debate where he says, you let all these illegals in. Anyway, so and then hammer that. Get every single one out there and have them willing to do it.
And she deserves it, because she was part of this administration, and they've screwed the country over for the last 4 years. And they deserve to lose big There has to be come up
Yes.
and a payment for the horror that they put on us. The fact that I had to buy a cup of coffee and it cost me $7. Gum and coffee cost me $7. It's absurd. It's absurd.
Absolutely.
Thanks to these jerks
25
stealing our money
minimum.
and giving it to all their friends.
Minimum.
Only government has the
25%.
power over inflation. Only government has the power of inflation. All this inflation is thanks to these creeps giving our money to their friends for the Green New Deal. So yeah, she
minimum.
deserves to. So I'm hoping, I'm praying to God, please protect Kamala. Rhymes with Commie. Save her and let her be the Democratic nominee so she goes down in flames horribly, loses. So America gets the message. I will wear sackcloth if you want me to. I repent on behalf of America. But so that's what our prediction is. We don't think it's good. If it's not a hostage situation breaking right now, then Kamala's not going to survive the convention. But we're hoping, we're praying.
So here's a video from the actual, somebody did this reenactment of the Trump assassination attempt, and really some of the questions we're going to ask here, there's just a lot of missing, I wouldn't say missing pieces. We have a lot of the pieces. The pieces just don't make sense
Don't worry, the FBI will get to the bottom of it, James.
Yeah.
All faith and trust in the FBI.
Yeah, okay.
All hair.
All right, here's the video.
This is a 3D illustration of how many bullets were fired and their trajectory that struck 3 people at the Trump rally on July 13th, 2024.
Hat tip to Liberal Hive Mind, who I saw this on when I was watching her video. So
this is the area we're going to focus in on. Here you can see the 3 victims that were injured by gunfire and where they were standing in the bleachers. We're going to turn around and demonstrate exactly where these bullets came from. This model represents Thomas Crooks. His position can be seen here in this image, which illustrates exactly where he was. Turning around, we can see the path of all the bullets that were fired from this location.
John, I am absolutely.
I placed a 10-foot red disc downrange to represent.
There's a 10-foot round disc. I am absolutely stunned that absolutely no one thought that this was a place where you shouldn't put somebody to cover.
James. OSHA regulation said you weren't allowed to go. The OSHA regulator said
the slope.
Secret Service can't be up there. The pitch is too high. You're gonna fall. You're not allowed. It was OSHA, James. Right. It was OSHA.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, we have 2 sniper teams on the buildings, one here and one over here on a sloped roof. I would just say, brother, they were 2 sniper teams already on a sloped roof. They were
OSHA approved. This roof wasn't.
And listen, and just as like, I'm no expert, but I can understand why you'd have 2 sniper teams here to cover the crowd this way. But why wouldn't you have a sniper team on this roof to cover the crowd from this side? Because you only have one angle covered over there, which is behind the president, right? What about this side? You should have a sniper team on one of these buildings covering the side angle because you can get another view. I don't understand why you wouldn't have that, right? What is the reason that you don't have somebody on the roof here, not even a sniper, someone observing with a pair of binoculars to be able to see the crowd? I don't understand that. Anyway, so let's watch the video.
What an average shooter could hit easily. Now let's take a look at this first shot fired. Coming from our key location, bullet 1 grazes President Trump's ear. This is the same bullet that hits a spectator in the stands. We know this through video evidence. As President Trump is talking, the first shot rings out just after he says, "Take a look at what happened."
Something that said, "Take a look at what happened."
We can see the vapor trail of a bullet strike, which is the same bullet that struck President Trump's ear.
For those of you who can't see it, the trail that she's talking, there's a puff of blood, I'm assuming, here where the person got hit as the bullet is exiting. It's right where my cursor is.
A split second earlier, And this video is this location here. Back at the podium, President Trump is shot and grabs his ear, falling to the ground as more shots rang out. In total, there were 7 or 8 shots. So let's rewind and watch this at regular speed.
Take a look at what happened.
With all that gunfire, it's easy to understand how these spectators were injured, even though they were not the target, including the sole spectator who lost his life that day. As we circle around, we can see how all the paths of the bullets were hitting in the location of this forklift machine, causing one of the hydraulic hoses to burst.
Holy freaking moly. You know, I'm not usually one to...
So,
So,
there's
James, when
also...
I heard that, you know, there's
Go
a
ahead.
way people shoot. You know, they're breaking it down acoustically, and there's a problem is because you don't know about reverberation. But when I heard it originally, I'm thinking there's 3 guns, or at least 3 sets of shooting, because there's the way you shoot the same way. So say the shooter shoots 1, 2, 3, then the next series of shots are top, 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 right? So that's 2 different guns, and then there's the third one, which is the coup de grace even. So you might say that was just a coup de grace, but that came a lot later, right? So there was 8 rounds, but it does seem to be that there was 3 guns. So, and I'm thinking there's 3 guns. You know,
Well,
maybe
there
2
was
people had
2
an eye on them.
There was 2 snipers on the roof. 2 snipers on the roof for the Secret Service, right? So that could be 2 of the guns, and then the actual crooks could be the 3rd gun. So there's that possibility because you can see that they were 2 guys, two Secret Service agents on the sloped roof behind President Trump on 2 different buildings. So and actually the one that people seem to be talking about the most is not the one who allegedly shot Crooks, because his field was blocked. I'll see if I can pull it up on the video.
Well, while you do that, I was just looking.
Here, it's right here.
at
There was one set of Secret Service agents behind this tree, and then there was the Secret Service agents out here, which is the ones that I believe that took Crooks out. If you can see where my mouse is. But go ahead, brother. Say what you're going to say.
So I've been, one of the things is you can make an argument that JFK was killed by the deep state. You can also make an argument that it was some other than the deep state. But one of the things that would indicate that it's the deep state that did it was the fact that RFK was definitely killed by the deep state. And how is that? The proof is that, RFK Jr. himself says, I've seen the MA report, the bullets don't add up, they come in different directions, right? So go back and look at what happened with RFK, and his murderer is still alive. It's Saran, and he did an interview. And tell me if this isn't similar, right? So Saran one day was a 20-year-old Palestinian who was, and at that time, LBJ had dropped out. RFK was probably going to get the nomination. For sure he was going to get the nomination. He just that day had won California, which is the big plum of all, right? If you win California, you're going to be the Democrat nominee, right? So that day, RFK Jr., wins the nomination. Now, that day earlier, Saran goes to the gun range, right? He goes to the gun range, and then he says cryptically, then I had dinner, at a place, right? And then the next thing he says is, and then everybody was partying downtown, and still no red flags, right? Then I had, then I started getting, somebody give me Tom Collins, right? Tom Collins to a Muslim guy, right? And I never had Tom Collins before. All right, you still say, okay, no red flags yet, right? And then he says, and then somebody told me that he wasn't taking his normal path from the normal path from the stage at the convention center where he was celebrating the California primary win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you go, wait a minute,
right.
How about this? Maybe some deep state CIA guy or somebody else like that, at the gun range, knows that this guy is has got a patsy written all over him. He's mad because RFK at that day, he said he was going to give 50 Phantom fighters to the Israelis, right? So he's got a beef. He's perfectly set up for as a patsy. He takes him and says, oh, he takes him shooting, right? Shows him how to shoot a gun, right? Make sure he's shooting a gun, right? Right. Says, oh, why don't we get some dinner, right? Still no problem, right? Right. Then feeds him because he knows he's Muslim. Feeds him with alcohol, right? And then whispers in his ears because he's got the inside information. RFK is not taking the normal path. Be in such and such spot. And here he is, Saran there. He pulls out his gun to do what he was going to do, but he's just a patsy for the real murderer who then kills him. What's not to say that exact same thing didn't happen again with this Crooks kid, right? He's deeply from the very beginning. He's got he's in school. The teachers, because they're all females and hate men, have him on high doses of medication. He's deeply depressed. He's on high doses of suggestive medication. Right? He's at a gun range. Again, deep state asshole says, I got Patsy written here over. He says, oh, Trump is Hitler. Trump is a Hitler. Trump is a Hitler. Right? Sets him up with the ladder, the gun, shows him how to shoot right because the kid lost. He couldn't get on the shooting team because he didn't shoot right. Fixes his mistake, right? And so, has him, and knows what the setup is going to be and has that blind spot in there already, established in the blind spot of where the breakdown is going to happen, between the Trump, Secret Service detail and the locals, and walks him through the right spot to be in the right spot at the right time so he can take his shot and can't miss, Donald Trump. Unfortunately, for all these creeps that are on the side of the devil and evil, in the end, who's in control? I believe and I know God intervenes no matter what. Now, it is true that he can turn every evil into a good, but sometimes God says, you know what? I'm not going to work hard this time. I'm just going to put my finger on this. and Lee loses the penultimate battle of the Civil War and the Union stays together, right? The Japanese go after the Torpedo 8 and the bag bombers from the Enterprise come in and wipe out 3 carriers, right? Hitler, I'm going to do the Battle of the Bulge, but he does it right next to the one guy who can end the Battle of the Bulge, George Patton, right? Right. Sometimes God just goes, yeah, think, and it's all over, right? And so he says, Donald, and the bullet goes right by, right? Right, because that's why the founding fathers talked about providence so much. That's why, because they saw it on the battlefield. George himself saw it. He's bullet immune. He's freaking bullet immune. George, you tell us a story about George on the battlefield, right?
Right.
Comments,
George Washington.
He's bulletproof.
He stands. He sees it's Battle of Monmouth. It's the Battle of Monmouth. One of the battles fought in New Jersey, and he sees Light Horse Henry Lee basically crapping his job, and he's retreating. The British are pounding and pushing forward, and Washington does the one thing he knows he can do, which is he rides in the battle, and he rallies the troops, and he's riding there on his horse, the most prominent figure on the battlefield. And what does he do? He rallies the troops and sends them back in, and they save the day, and the Battle of Monmouth turns into it went from an assured defeat because Light Horse Henry Lee, who would later be captured by the British, turns around and runs, and Washington comes and saves the day. I mean, it's a great story. It's also, he has the courage. So that was your point, brother. Did I lose you? Still there, brother? John, can you hear me? Hello? I think we lost him. Can you hear me, brother? Anyway, so one of the things that I did want to, about the assassination, maybe he'll come back in a minute. Brother, interrupt me if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear
All
you.
right, so
I can hear you now.
all right,
I lost you
so
for a bit.
all right, so I told the story of Washington at Monmouth. What was your point about that? Where he saved the day because he was under fire. So we have President Trump who was under fire now. Is that what you're suggesting?
I lost you again. But so the point being, the machinations of evil, they can do what they want.
But in the end, God's the one in charge. I got you.
I keep losing it, but the machinations of evil can do what they want. But in the end, he's in charge, so it doesn't really matter, right? Right? It doesn't really matter. It's his will. It can turn any evil into good. Even the poor in this case poor hostage held Joe Biden, who somebody is writing up and sending letters saying he's abdicating from his kingship and is not going to be president. In the end, God wins because he's in charge.
Right, and I think some of the other things that have been coming out about this assassination attempt was that there was reporting from the New York Post. Here it is. 2 years ago, Secret Service honchos denied Trump additional security for 2 years before assassination attempt, damning revelation. And of course, RFK Jr., whose father was assassinated and whose uncle was assassinated, was not given any Secret Service protection until just recently, when it took Trump almost being killed for them to say, "Oh, I guess we should probably provide Secret Service protection for them," even though RFK Jr. has reported several times that he's been harassed, and and family members have been harassed
despicable
because of stuff.
Joe Biden should be impeached. He should be impeached because he has a duty to protect the people running against him, and he failed miserably at it. Him and Dr. Jill. But if that's the thing too, is if Kamala is the going forward, if Joe's not going forward, then the next question is, well, who's going to be in charge for the next 6 months? Because it can't be this guy, because you're saying he's not good enough to run for president for 4 years. He's not good enough now then. And the truth is, they've been lying to us. They've gaslighted us for 5 years. For 5 years, he was losing it back when he was in the basement, and now he's completely lost it. So who's running the country? Because we know it's not him. We know it's not him. And so it's time for these people to pay the price for their evil, and it's time for us to get on our knees every night and pray for Kamala, rhymes with Commie, Harris, to please be the Democrat nominee. Please, God, please. They don't deserve a pass. They deserve this.
Right. So, John, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but this was also recently breaking news. And since we're talking about the assassination attempt, this fits right in it. Senator Josh Hawley, had a handful of whistleblowers approach him most recently over this last week to discuss the things that were going wrong. He said, whistleblowers who have direct knowledge of the event have approached my office. According to allegations, the July 13th rally was considered to be a loose security event. For example, detection canines were not used to monitor entry and detect threats in the usual manner. Individuals without proper designations were able to gain access to backstage areas. Department personnel did not appropriate police the security buffer around the podium, were also not stationed at regular intervals around the event's security perimeter. It goes on to mention several other concerns involving the Secret Service's actions, and it asks Mayorkas, who is the guy, because the Secret Service is under the Department of Homeland Security. So Mayorkas, the same individual who has failed at the border, he's also supposed to be under taking care of the border security. He's failed at that. Instead, we have learned from whistleblowers at your department officials. I will continue to protect the anonymity and confidentiality. So he asked these questions. How did the DHS determine the staff event? including any decisions to rely on state and local offices. And what he has here is a bunch of follow-up questions. And just so we're clear, Director Cheadle, who's the head of the Secret Service, has said she's speaking in front of Congress on Monday, but Secretary Mayorkas has already dropped the bomb, saying he's going to try to stop that from happening. So, little bit of a concern there, I guess, that we're not going to get.
They won't cut off all their funding and end them. They'll send a strongly written letter. Okay,
right.
Jim Jordan will send a strongly written letter, and
well,
that'll show them. That'll show you dropping the ball on the president, getting him assassinated.
Some of the other information that has been
we're gonna put that in your file.
Some of the other information that's been dropped out there includes the fact that there were Secret Service agents in the building that Crooks climbed on top of, that they took a picture of Crooks because he was suspicious looking, that Crooks was walking around the building, which he would later climb, and walking around the front entrance to the event with a rangefinder in his hand, because, that's something they always carry. People always carry a rangefinder out, and, measuring the distance between him and where Trump was going to stand. They apparently had 6 minutes, John, where they knew that there was a potential threat to Trump. 6 minutes, because they put a call out over the radio, which is, by the way, a recorded radio line, 6 minutes before Trump spoke or before the shooting started. So they had an entire 6 minutes to either keep Trump off the stage and try to find this guy and delay it for a few minutes, or find this guy and actually shoot him, because the snipers, let's not forget, could have put the guy under observation when they were told to look at the damn building that he was climbing up on. And by the way, somehow this guy was able to carry a ladder, and it's not a small ladder. It looks like it's a good 8 foot tall ladder. And I've carried 8 foot ladders. They're not light. He carried an entire mile through the woods and was able to put it up against the wall. John, when do we slip behind the curtain and find out what's really going on? You ready for it, brother? Let's just talk about Director Cheadle. She worked for the Secret Service for 27 years. And guess which president she was hired under, John? Give you a hint. He's married to somebody named Hillary. So no, there's no connection. I'm sure there's no connection between Director Cheadle and Hillary. And so, John, the meme might actually hold true. You know the meme I'm talking about, of course. The one where Hillary, I don't have it. I wish I had gotten it ready. The one where Hillary's standing in the doorway asking, "What, you mean they missed?
Yeah,
what do you mean they missed?" So here we are, brother. We're at an hour. Any final thoughts on the... Oh, I have one more thought. I was saving this for this. Oh, where did it go? Here it is. Ready, brother? Ready, my fellow Trumpomaniac?
It happened last week.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
They took a shot at my hero. And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
There you go, brother. Let Trumpomania run wild again, brother. That's
right. That's the best campaign speech there's ever been.
It's got to be worth at least 1 million votes. At least 1 million votes. That's got to be at least worth 1 million votes. That one. I mean, John, the RNC Convention was total fan service. The night of because let's just side note, when we look at Disney, when we look at what's going on with the media or with the video games, what's going on with Hollywood, Hollyweird, and all the other stuff, when we look at that, all we see is the worst of the worst of the worst, the stuff we dislike, rotten garbage, right? Because they don't play. So we see a She-Hulk being this crazy, completely opposite of what she was in the comic books. We see the entire Marvel universe being flipped upside down. We see our heroes being killed off. We see all these rotten things happening because they don't care about the fans. And then Thursday night, the RNC said, we're going to really go for our Trumpomaniacs, and we're going to do some serious fan service. The Hulk Hogan speech was total fan service. Totally, completely paying it off to the followers. I mean, listen, I love Trump. Speech was too long. Hour and a half. It was too long. But his and the Rocks, I'm sorry, Kid Rocks, was rocking. It was rocking. It was even White. His, Dana White, his was outrageous. It was amazing. It's total fan service, John, to the people who love Trump. And as Van Jones said himself after the thing, he said, I haven't felt this much electricity in a convention since, you ready for it, brother? Obama in 2008.
Well, I don't trust anything Van Jones says. However,
I don't either.
What you actually saw,
but even the Democrats are saying it.
What actually you saw was a throwback to the 1800s when that's what a convention was, right? And that's what I've seen it because it was about the people and not about the elites and the aristocrats.
Yes.
It really wasn't.
Yes.
It was a people's convention.
That's fan service right there. Yeah. Totally what you're totally.
Well, the other way to say it, it's taking in consideration the people and not the aristocrats. But
fan service, yeah, but and I get what you're saying. It kind of puts it in a different light when you say fan service. But I think my point is you're right. It is getting into what the people want, and we want America to be great again. All right, so that's what it comes down to, brother. Any final thoughts on everything?
No, I'm just gonna rip my shirt off right now. But
remember, brother, it's all good. It's all good,
brother.
It's all good, brother.
Trumpomania, brother.
It's all good, brother. All right,
that's amazing. Best speech ever.
Yes, yeah. It's all good, brother. Why? Why is it?
Because God loves you.
Because God loves you. There we go.
What's your view on homosexuality?
Yeah, I am mindful that we're all sinners, and I caution those who may try to take the speck out of their neighbor's eye when they got a log in their own. The great threat to civilization is that a few evil men will multiply.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring. You mean like Democrats?
The fact that somebody decided